I would understand vegetarian, but not vegan. So that was me 12 years ago. Hi, everyone. You hear me well? Okay, cool. So today I'm going to talk to you about how I want to inspire chefs to cook more plant-based food, or how I do my activism through food, because food is what we love. So yeah. So food, in the end, in our own traditions, is something holy. It's not about nutrients and calories. It's about sharing and about honesty. It's about identity. So yeah, we all know that food, I mean, for me it's really clear, but food is really what motivates us to go through our day. And people, when you touch to their food, they don't like it. So we have to show them that food is key to make the change. I think that we can change the vegan game with the food. All right, so I'm a trained chef, and I will tell you about my transition as a professional. So I'm a trained French chef, so I trained like normal food, no, traditional food. And I'm glad I did it before I went vegan, because now it would be really hard. And I remember I didn't know so much about vegan, and I went to Australia to live there. That's where I encountered the first time the vegan movement. And I remember thinking, what I wrote, that vegan are crazy. I mean, why would they not eat cheese or eggs? It was not something that I understood. I would understand vegetarian, but not vegan. So that was me 12 years ago. And suddenly, one day, I realized stuff about animals, and I became vegetarian and then vegan. And when I did become vegetarian, I had to start cooking differently. And when I started cooking differently, I discovered this whole new world. And that was a real discovery for me, because I didn't think that it would be possible to make a chocolate mousse without eggs, or to make a cake without butter, as a French chef and pastry chef. And so that was a whole new world, and I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was so great, and there was so many things to do, and I didn't understand why we didn't learn that in school, in the cooking school, and in the normal life. So as you can see, I did a lot of traveling and a lot of cooking all around the world. And it's been 9 years now that I cook plant-based. So I'm going to talk about plant-based food, vegan food, because this is how I will relate to the chefs. But it's vegan food. And I deepened my practice, I learned, I failed, and every time I was going deeper and discovering more things about food, and this became really a passion. And I think if I didn't encounter the vegan cooking 9 years ago now, I would not be where I am today. I would probably not cook anymore, because I was a little bit disgusted by the profession. So this is what I really like to share with the chefs, that vegan food is not annoying, and that it's really great, actually. So I observed that when chefs, we ask them for vegan food, and we all know that, unfortunately, they are really not comfortable. We really get them out of their comfort zone, which is in France at least, but I think all over Europe, it's a piece of meat and then something to go with it. And then you go to the restaurant and they're like, oh my God, vegans, what are we doing? So I realized, and that was like 5 years ago, that there is something to be done with the chefs. They really need to be led to more vegan food and cooking. So I will talk about what I know, because that's where I come from, the French gastronomy, okay? So there is a saying that French food is butter, butter, and butter. Yeah, it's a lot of butter. Okay, so the French gastronomy. So we have old traditions, and this is something people are really attached to. That's something they are very proud of in France, the French gastronomy, you know. And it's something that builds their identity. It's a way also to defend the local specificity against the globalization of culture and everything. So they are really attached to this, and this is tough for us because they see vegan are some evil stuff. I don't know. So the French, oopsie, what's that? Sorry. So the this doesn't want to leave me alone. Okay. So the French gastronomic meal has been recognized as a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage of humanity. So the French people are really attached to it. We have a very meaty but also cheesy culture. Everyone knows about French cheese. And this is something that's really tough because it's everywhere. You go in every region, and for the one who have been traveling in France, you know how difficult it is to eat vegan food, and we always end up with fries and salad. So, but it's a bit contradictory also because there is more and more fast food in France. We love burgers, and when people tell me about tradition, I'm always like, what are you talking about? Burger is not from us, but anyway. And I noticed there is a confusion on what plant-based food is. So, for instance, there is a gastronomic restaurant that put plant-based menu, and you have cream, you have honey, you have eggs in it. And this is the moment I'm like, okay, this is not clear. Something is not clear for the chef. So I think this is going to be my first job, is to explain what plant-based food is, because eggs or meat or cream is not plant-based. There is a reduction of the meat consumption in France. Even though there is a rising in the chicken consumption, the beef consumption is going down, so yeah, that's a start. So we have some hindrance ahead of us with this subject. So as I said before, the dishes in France are centered around meat or fish. So when you go to the restaurant, it's always meat, fish dishes. We don't have yet, or very rarely, vegetarian or vegan dishes on the menu. And the food culture is really based on animal products. Everywhere you go in France, you will have regions, and in each region you have traditional foods like cheese, dried meat, stuff like this, and traditional dishes around this. There is a real lack of knowledge to how to make vegan food in the kitchens, because it's seen really as an obstacle. Like, they don't know what they're doing, and they don't know what to use, they don't know how to use it, and usually we end up with the plates full of garniture, which is veggies, and not very sexy. So I also realized there is no value or to be vegan in the pop culture, or there is a very more representation of vegan people in the culture, or it's always the bad vegan, like the angry vegan, and people are scared. So this is not helping our movement. I also saw there is a real lack of interest from the chefs, because they see that as annoying. We are seen as annoying guests, and they really don't want to take interest in it. Some do, but it's quite rare, and it's a shame because it's so rich. And I think they're always also burying their head down in the sand, because they don't want to see that there is a demand that's coming up. As I said before, there are no training in the new kind of cuisine. Now we are still learning really old school cuisine in the cooking schools, and this is something I really want to tackle as a problem. But fortunately, we have some good news, and the awareness of the impact of the animal-rich food is getting bigger, even though it's slow in France, because people are really not ready to change. It's getting bigger, and I think that's a really good start. We have more and more vegan restaurants opening, and from my city in Strasbourg, for instance, we are a fairly small city, but we have already 8 vegan restaurants, which is making us one of the leading cities in France for vegan food. and that's great. And because we have to talk about what works for the restaurant owners, better margins through vegan food, whole plant-based food is something that's very interesting as an argument for them to start listening to what we have to say. So, why is it important for chefs to lead the way? There is a decline in French people knowing how to cook, and they are cooking less and less because it's easier to take out or buy pre-made stuff or at the supermarket. And I think this is why we need to feed the people healthy, nutritious, and with the less impact food, because they don't do it themselves. So chefs, I think it's their responsibility to lead the way with this. And also people want to eat more responsible, and usually they do that by eating local sourced meat, but there is a will to make it better, so we should surf on that, I think. I don't know how it is in other places, but in France, the kind of cooking show like Top Chef or Master Chef or all sorts of other cooking show is getting really big. And the starification of the chef is something we need to use, because they are the people that people look up to. So with Top Chef, people really started trying to be more creative in the kitchen, and I think if we put the star chefs and make them do real good vegan food, they will start drawing the new tendencies, and people will follow also in their home. And other chefs also. So, whether they like it or not, there is a responsibility of the chef for reducing the carbon footprint, which most of the time they don't want to see that they have this responsibility every day when they cook. But I think, first of all, we have to make them aware, and then we have to lead them to reduce the carbon footprint through more plant-based food. They are also the holder of the knowledge, the creativity, and the techniques, which makes them the best candidates for us to lead the way with vegan food, because they know and they can get more creative than most people. Because if right now the non-professionals are leading the way in creating all sorts of vegan recipes or vegan techniques, then with all the knowledge the chefs have, they should be able to come up with ideas and go further. And also, whether we like it or not, it's a political issue for the chefs. They don't want to see it, but it's really what we all know, that it is political. So yeah, they should see it and really try to do something about it. So I also realized that on top of helping to in the gastronomy, there is a real need to change in the pop culture. We need more representation in the pop culture. We need to get rid of the image that the vegan food is boring, tasteless, and sad, because we all know it's not true. And it's so rich, it's so amazing, healthy, and nutritious that this is something we need to put forward. And I think this is my axis to go to when I talk to the chefs, is to show them it's good. And last Tuesday I was able to make a small buffet for chefs and restaurant owners, and we didn't say it was vegan food, we just put something like, let's get surprised. And people came and they tried food, and they were really surprised. And they say, "Oh, I didn't think we could have such good vegan food." They were genuinely surprised, and this was my goal in this moment, to surprise them and show them you don't know what you're eating, but it's good. And a small anecdote is that I made this kind of tuna sandwich, and there was a guy who ate it, and his friend came and tried it, and he's like, "Oh, it's good. What is it?" And his friend said, "Oh, it's sustainable fished tuna." And the guy ate it, and he said, "Oh, it's really good." And the other guy was winking at me like, "You see?" So that was funny. And I think this is what we have to, this is what I'm trying to do with my organization I will talk about later. So I think we need to make people able to identify that I could be vegan and that it's cool. So first of all, we have to, there is this image, and that's why it's hard for me when I go to chefs to talk about vegan food, because they get really tense because of some image we have of the angry vegans who are always shouting that this is not enough. And so sometimes I need to be very democratic and very diplomatic with the people. But I think we need more role models from all backgrounds to show us that it's cool to be vegan, it's easy, and it's sexy. And we have to really get rid of the idea that it's too inconvenient. And if we do, if we manage to do more plant-based food in the restaurants, that's already going to be something that's going to help, that you go to the restaurant and it's easy to have vegan food. And sorry, I got lost in my notes. Yeah, we need to show it's generous and it's convivial. People will have fun around the table. It's gourmet and it's a nice moment. That's something we have to put forward. And also, I think when I listen about people not wanting to make that change, if we don't make small changes now, and vegan diet is not something complicated, and that's something we can do every day, and it doesn't take so much effort at some point. At some point, it doesn't take any more effort at all. But if we don't make small changes now to get the condition and the climate change better, then we will have to do huge changes and discomfortable changes in the future. So I never understand why people don't think about this, but maybe it's short-term thinking. And also, I think we need to create new traditions to help people transition, because tradition is not it's not science. It's not something that's rigid. It's something that evolved in time, and people, I think, they don't think about this. And for instance, the way we feed ourselves now, it's not coming from the caveman times. It's coming from after war, how we eat so much animal food, today. So I think this is not in the marble, and it needs to evolve. And I think the French gastronomy can be a good leader in showing that it's possible to change for sustainable, ethical, and healthy food. All right. So I'm in the creation of my own organization at the moment, which wants to make the vegan food more into the gastronomy. So it's still in the process of getting created, but yeah. So there is a huge list of all the whys I want to do this, but I will give you the main ones. So why? Because it shouldn't be so hard to eat vegan at the restaurant, not only for vegans, but for everyone. And I talk about French restaurant, but I think in Europe it's also not so easy everywhere, so yeah. As I spoke before, the chefs have responsibilities on sustainability, ethical reasons, and also social issues, because all this is related. And I want them to be more aware, and I don't understand that they are not, so this is why I want to show them that it's not a burden, but it can be so much fun. And also, there is no training in plant-based cuisine in the schools, and so this is something that needs to be addressed. So, what will I do for helping this? So I'm gonna start creating free and accessible content that's gonna be accessible to everyone online. I think co-creation of new systems is essential, and it's gonna be on all the spectrum from the food industry, because I really think it's important to have all actors understanding all the problematics in the food industry so that we can move forward together to resolve all the problems. And for instance, it was a few weeks ago I visited a legume farm, and I had no idea how lentils were grown, first of all, as a chef. That was a little bit sad. And I had no idea how much land you need to have to feed people, and how many people you can feed with 1 acre of land, for instance. So this was something that was very mind-clearing to me, like, okay, this is really something we need to work together. If we want people to eat more plant-based, we have to work with the farmers and the people who are producing the food. Otherwise, it's not gonna work, and then we have to work in each step of the industry to make it better. Also, I want to talk about I want to make awareness on all the problematics around food, because food is not only the ethical problem. We have, of course, the ethical problem with the animals, but as a chef and as a woman, I encountered lots of violence in the kitchen, for instance, and this is the type of issues I want to tackle with my project. Social issues like violence in the kitchens and the industry, but also I want to have a global idea of vision of what the food industry is, what the problematics are, in that it can be ecological or social or ethical, but I think all of them are related together, and if we don't tackle all these problematics, then it's going to be hard for us to move towards a more respectful and plant-based food and food industry. So I would like to create emulating events around plant-based food to show that it's good, and yeah, that's it. And I think working with leading figures in the culinary world, as I said before, like people like Gordon Ramsay or Ottolenghi, they have huge influence on chefs, on non-professionals, and these people, they are looked up to, and we need to work with them to make things move forward faster. And again, creating network with all food actors so they can support each other and find solutions together. So how am I going to do that? So I think my first actions will be to raise awareness first about how possible it is to cook vegan food for future generations of chefs, but also for the current ones, because they are the one that's already in place. And yeah, my goal I hope I want to do in a few years that we have a real plant-based diploma in the kitchen in France and hopefully everywhere else. So this is really my goal, and this is what I'm working towards. So creating free content, as I said before, the idea is to inspire people to show that vegan food is cool, because I don't have knowledge of any vegan cooking show in France. And this is a problem. We have to see that it's possible, and if it's not on TV or if it's not on online TV, then it's going to be hard. So I have a project of a web series that is going to be like a documentary where I go from each region to see which plant-based food is grown there, work with the producer, work with chefs, non-vegan chefs, to show them and to challenge them to vegan cooking, and together show that it's possible to do in each region something that looks that is inspired from the history and the traditional food we have there. I also want to do some podcasts about this kind of issue, especially about all the problematics around the food industry. So, and finally, I want to organize culinary events for general public and the professionals, focusing on plant-based cuisine. So, showing them that it's cool, that it's easy, that it's tasty, and also tackling issues like all the issues I told you about before: violence in the kitchen, ecological impact of animal food diet, and this kind of things. For instance, I plan next year to organize the first, sorry, I'm thinking in French. The first day of the future of restaurant in Strasbourg, with workshops and talks about how it's possible to make vegan food, but how we can reduce the violence in the kitchen, how we can stop racism in the industry, and this kind of topics. So I'm very motivated to be able to do that, transmit my passion for plant-based food to other chefs, because I think they would, if they could see what I can see, that plant-based food can be a new specialty like French food or Peruvian food or Japanese food, and that they can co-create this from scratch almost, because this cuisine is so new. We can build and create everything. I think if I can transmit this to the chefs, they will be hopefully motivated to try it and make plant-based food in their kitchens. So thanks for listening.